I do think that the strength in the S&P 500 is probably partly why we're seeing a lift in crypto just in the last day or so. I do worry that at some point the stock market has to pull back. I mean, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's never-ending upside, but at some point we'll get a correction, and I do worry about where crypto is at that point. My fear is we're going to see a slowdown in the economy over the next few years where people will be laid off naturally because demand starts to slide for products, right? So companies have to lay off. And then it's a double whammy because AI is going to start taking people's jobs as well. And I think that is something that I'm worried about, not necessarily in the next 12 months, but maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, as putting us in a potential recession for not just a year, but maybe a longer term.
Wait a minute, everyone. Get ready for the ultimate crypto investing website, the Bitcoin Seller. It's your golden ticket to an exclusive insiders club. Expert predictions, on-chain data, and breaking news, all for you. Imagine all crypto insights landing in your inbox daily, like having your own expert team. Don't miss this VIP opportunity. Click the link and secure your spot. Join now and ride the crypto roller coaster with the Bitcoin Seller. Gareth Soloway will tell us what is happening with the stock market and the crypto market and why they are connected. He will also explain why he is worried about the future of the economy and the impact of AI on jobs. He sees a risk of a long recession in the next few years and how that will affect crypto. You don't want to miss this awesome interview. So get ready as we jump into the conversation with Gareth Soloway.
Back into the action, guys. Right to the Bitcoin chart. We're going to get into gold in just a second, but let's cover Bitcoin. Bitcoin, my 38,000 target, got kissed yesterday. When I say 38,000, and I think it went to about 38.4 or so, probably a lot of front running of people saying, oh, Gareth said this, so let's buy just above. So oftentimes you'll miss by just a fraction, but it should come back down and maybe even go lower. But either way, the thought process here is that you've now hit support here or thereabouts. There's a chance we could break back up and touch this level, but ultimately my expectation is to go lower. I do think that the strength in the S&P 500 is probably partly why we're seeing a lift in crypto just in the last day or so. I do worry that at some point the stock market has to pull back. I mean, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's never-ending upside, but at some point we'll get a correction, and I do worry about where crypto is at that point, okay? So we know our levels, right? Very simply, we have 38,000, and we have about 43.5 to 44 right there. That's resistance, so we'll give it an R. This is support. Which one breaks, right? Which one breaks? If we break this one, 35,000, a little bit of support, and then 30,000. To the upside, if we break through this, we could retest our $49,000 to $50,000 level. All right, quickly, I want to just go over a couple others. I like that I've been throwing in a few other cryptos. I've seen some great commentary and appreciation for that, so I appreciate that as well. Look at this. This is Ethereum. We're going to cover Ethereum real quick here. What we can see on Ethereum, guys, is that, and let me just refresh my chart there so we see here, but basically, Ethereum continues to trade perfectly inside of this. I remember talking to you guys just a week or so about this ago when it was up here, and I said, guys, this is resistance. Look at this. I mean, look at this channel, the beauty of it, and look at what Ethereum did. Now, Ethereum here at this point is actually into support. Same kind of thing as the spiders, or I should say the chart on Bitcoin. And if we look at this right here, we zoom in, well, what do we see? Support here. Oh, let me draw on that. Support, 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 and look at where we are. So right here is support around $2,220, $2,200 even number. If that breaks, we could go below 2,000. But right now, if you're a technician, you're watching this area right here, this 2,200 level, to see if it holds. Can it hold and start moving back up, or does it break and start cratering to the 1,900 and change level?
Gareth Soloway analyzes the price movements of Bitcoin and Ethereum, two of the most popular cryptocurrencies. He predicted that Bitcoin would drop to $38,000 based on the chart patterns, and it did. Some people might have bought it just above his target, hoping for a bounce. He expects Bitcoin to go lower unless it breaks back up and touches the $43.05 to $44 level, which is resistance. He says resistance is where sellers come in and stop the price from going higher. He thinks the strength in the S&P 500, which is a stock market index, is partly why crypto is going up. He is worried that the stock market will correct soon, and that will affect crypto. A correction is when the market falls by at least 10% from its peak. The next levels to watch for Bitcoin are $35,000 and $30,000 as support, and $49,000 to $50,000 as resistance. These are based on previous highs and lows on the chart. He then looks at Ethereum, which is another cryptocurrency that supports smart contracts and decentralized applications. Ethereum is trading inside a channel, which is a range between two parallel lines. He says he warned his viewers that the upper line of the channel was resistance, and Ethereum fell from there. Ethereum is now at support, which is the lower line of the channel, around $2,200. If Ethereum breaks below this level, it could go below $2,000. Gareth is watching this area to see if Ethereum can hold and bounce back, or if it will continue to fall.
Number one, the stock market futures are jumping higher on the back of Netflix earnings, all right? So Netflix comes out, they basically add 13 million subscribers, much better than expected. Now, the kicker here is that you might say, well, what does Netflix really have to do with the market? I mean, it's one streaming company, but it's number one, it's the first big name reporting earnings in tech this quarter, so that gives the vibe, and it's all about market psychology. I mean, how many of us out there, me included, have a Netflix subscription? So if you're just sitting at home and you hear about how great Netflix is, you recognize that name, it makes you feel good. Psychology of the market will generally lift that on earnings and lift the market as well. So that's where we are at this point. Again, Netflix added 13 million subscribers, blowing estimates away. Let's continue down the list here. Now, this is an interesting one. So Deutsche Bank came out this morning, all right, DB. They downgraded Netflix after the pop this morning. The idea being is that based on its current valuation, what they're saying is that it's fully valued as a streaming service at the current levels it's trading at. Now, I actually give this credit, right? I give Deutsche Bank credit because so many analysts are chasers. So many analysts are late to the party. When it's up, when all-time highs or 52-week highs, they're the ones that are upgrading it at that point. And I always say to my traders, I'm like, dude, where was the upgrade when it was trading at 52-week lows? Look at NVIDIA. Remember, NVIDIA not that long ago was a $120 stock, basically a year ago. Where were the downgrades when it was at 350 prior, then the upgrades at 150 or 120? Generally, analysts are followers. They're late to the party. Remember that. I oftentimes actually will go off and use them as an indicator. So I will use analysts at big banks. When they're upgrading a stock at all-time highs, I actually use it as a negative indicator. Why? Let's talk about that briefly, guys. And sorry to get off on a tangent here, but this is important. So when you get an analyst upgrade at an all-time high and you see these analysts raising, and this happened with Tesla in 2021. Remember when Tesla was at its all-time highs in 2021 and we got these crazy upgrades to like $4,000 a share or $1,500 or whatever it was, and that ultimately marked the top. The reason it does is because of market psychology. What it does is it triggers anyone who was bearish to basically throw in the towel. If they were short, they'll throw it in because they're hearing these crazy targets and they're panicking. And then anyone who hasn't gotten into the stock at that point, they're like, oh my God, look at these smart analysts. These smart analysts work for the biggest players in the industry. If they're saying this, I got to go along. And so you get all of the players, all the bears get out. Anyone who was maybe on the fence is now in, and you have no one left to buy. That marks a top. The institutions aren't dumb. They know this stuff, guys. Guess who's selling into it? Smart institutions are selling into these upgrades at all-time high. So I actually give credit to Deutsche Bank today. Way to go. Stock is definitely, in my opinion, at least in a normal market, probably at a current price or even overpriced. Texas Instruments missed revenue numbers. The semiconductor company pointed to increasing weakness in the industry and auto chip demand. So Texas Instruments is down pre-market. Again, they're not, as of now, big in the AI game. So you can see lots of chips for cars, for EVs, for phones. All of those are suffering. AI is the name of the game. Speaking of which, ASML, another semi, this one does do AI. They basically came out with monster orders, biggest orders ever. And again, interestingly enough, the stock is up. The one thing I found interesting is they did not raise their forward guidance. They said, you know what, we're going to continue to keep the guidance that we had before these great numbers. The stock is still up, but that's something I'm watching going into the next couple quarters or even just the next couple announcements.
Gareth Soloway explains how Netflix's earnings boosted the stock market futures, as Netflix is the first big tech company to report this quarter, and it added 13 million subscribers, much more than expected. This creates a positive vibe and a market psychology that lifts the whole sector. He comments on Deutsche Bank's downgrade of Netflix, saying he gives them credit for not being chasers and followers like most analysts. He uses analyst upgrades at all-time highs as a negative indicator because they signal that there is no one left to buy and the stock has peaked. He gives Tesla as an example of this phenomenon in 2021. He mentions Texas Instruments' revenue miss, saying it shows the weakness in the chip industry and the auto chip demand. He says Texas Instruments is not big in the AI game, which is where the growth is. He contrasts this with ASML, another chip company that does AI and reported record orders. He says ASML did not raise its guidance, but the stock is still up. If you've been with us so far, a big thank you. Don't forget to subscribe for free to Bitcoin Seller for your daily news. The link is waiting below. That's all for today's crypto news. Stick around for more updates, insights, and analysis on cryptocurrencies. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more exciting content.